Hello, we are the Geeks and Degenerates, and for this week, we'll be probably talking about one of the heaviest topics we've talked about in this channel, which is warfare. Since we are starting with this movie, All Quiet on the Western Front, the 2022 version, which is based on the novel, which is a anti-war book. And so, if you are used to seeing us joke around, we'll try to limit that because it will be in poor taste, essentially.
Yeah, because we would like to disclose right now with the situation at hand with what's happening within this year. Well, we are very aware that we cannot really joke around with this.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be dead set serious here, but we will limit ourselves because we do respect
Yeah.
the situation, and we're kind of close or similar situation right now. Hopefully, it doesn't go down that route.
Yeah.
Kind of there.
And it seems timely that this movie was remade for this year, whether they made it this year already knowing what was happening or not. It just seems very timely, and just to rehearse the topic or the message of warfare isn't a good thing, and we always hope that nations choose diplomacy over that.
Yes.
But yeah, this talks about the war that not a lot of movies or shows really talk about, which is the First World War, which is the also known as the war to end all wars.
Or, well, before World War II, it was pretty much called the Great War. Because within, well, I guess, documented history, this was probably the largest scale war that we've had in the 21st century. Where
20th century.
Sorry, 20th century.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is one of the biggest wars in the 20th century, like you mentioned, which the 20th century in general is known as the century of warfare, because aside from the world wars, there was also the Vietnam War, Korean War, and all other civil wars going on. So yeah, the 20th century was filled with warfare, which is interesting and horrifying at the same time. But of course, other things happen, but this is one of the reasons why the 20th century is known as the century of warfare, which is just mind-boggling, honestly.
We're getting smarter, and we're getting more violent, and it's not a route I like.
Yeah.
Or anybody likes.
But before really getting into it, did you ever study about World War One? Or did you just watch the World War Two and other warfare documentaries or movies?
I never touched upon World War One. Well, because we didn't get a lot of documentaries. Well, we did, but I never got exposed to it. But as of recent, I've been looking into it, mostly because of Battlefield 5. I was like, wow, I forgot that there was the First World War. Because a lot of games focused on World War II, because that's when the whole automatic weapons start to come out, and I guess it's way more fun to play with an automatic than with a single fire or a semi-fire gun.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why it was very popular. But you don't really see a lot of trench fighting anymore. When it comes to movies and shit. And then 1917 came out, and I was like, that is probably one of the best World War One depictions as of that date.
Yeah.
Now we have all is quiet in the Western Front. So that's how I got exposed to it.
Yeah, like you, I mostly watched World War II or even Vietnam and modern warfare documentaries. And then there's only there's this limited series on History Channel before they went completely batshit with aliens and other bullshit and Pawn Stars, called Declassified, and there was this one episode about World War One, and that's where my interest started. And then my grandpa had a DVD set of documentary about warfare in the 20th century, and just how it began. The First World War is so confusing. Archduke Franz Ferdinand gets assassinated, and then all these nations declare war on each other, and then as the months go by, it becomes a world war. And there's such fascinating things, because this is sometimes referenced, I think, as the Forgotten War, because as you mentioned, World War II takes the main spotlight because it's more, I don't know, very. This is a bad side. This is the good side. It's very black
Oh
and white.
yeah, but with the First World War, it's there's just so many sides playing along. Yeah, as you said, we got like this whole black and white depiction of like this. These were the good guys. These were the bad. Also, we kind of have a connection to it because we were involved. Like our
Country.
our country got involved, so it was more big to us because we were uh, as a nation itself, we're in like engulfed in it. So we kind of focused on that because we were included.
Yeah.
But with World War One, there were so many factions, there were so many countries that was involved that we didn't know like which side was which
Yeah.
until you really delved in deep. Here we got it in World War Two. We got the Axis, we got the Allies.
Yeah.
That was it. And sure, there are like countries within those, but you know who we were against.
Yeah. And like it just seems World War One was very great, and like not a lot of media exposed or like shows it. Like before 1917, there was War Horse, which is quite frankly just fine.
Yeah, it was okay. Well, they showed us that they did use horses in World War One.
Yeah, but like
Big vehicles weren't that abundant.
yeah, but like it just felt too, I don't know, just too felt like too sentimental. Like I don't think this is the right tone, or the way Spielberg directed it wasn't right. But it's not for me. But yeah. It's only until like Battlefield 1 or like other documentaries that piqued my interest.
Or
And
Wonder Woman.
yeah, Wonder Woman. And then 1917 comes along, and I'm like, wow, I wish
Yeah.
more movies did this. And this year, this movie came out, I'm like, this is excellent. And
And yeah,
just started just watching it, you're like, damn, this is a really good movie.
and we get into the eyes of who we associate as the ones who started it, the German side.
Yeah,
Yeah, we get eyes into that, and I like how this movie shows that we do tend to forget the fact that a lot of the time the soldiers are more of the victims
yeah,
when it comes to war. They they do depict a lot of parts of a soldier's life in the trench, and like some political head just like, no, do this for your country. It's for the betterment of your country. Go to hell and back while I sit here and eat my scone or some shit.
yeah. And like getting right into it, the first 6 minutes is utterly brutal. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, they show how how unforgiving war is, and how would I say this? Expendable a soldier's life can be. The fact that they already have a plan of like, hey, if this soldier dies, we just take his clothes, wash it up, sew it together, and send it to the next cannon fodder.
Yeah, yeah, that's essentially what it is. And then you meet Paul and his group of friends, and you see the very interesting difference between World War One and World War Two, where these men are excited to go to war, where opposed to in World War Two, you see men and families being fearful for their, the people they're going to war for, like their fathers or husbands, like they don't want them to go. Whereas here they're celebrating like, oh, it's gonna be a glorious thing to go into warfare.
Yeah. Well, I guess that was like the propaganda. I don't know. The propaganda back in the day, where they were like, they were pretty much blindly patriotic.
Yeah.
You could tell that they were like, I'm ready for war. And then once they get into it, they're like filled with regret. Their first day alone, which we would get to,
Yeah.
was already hell.
Yeah. Funny enough, this does start in 1917, and it's the second to last year of war, and Paul and his friends sign up to join the army, and there's this guy who's rallying the men about the glory of warfare, and in a couple of weeks from now, they will be marching on Paris in the glory of for Germany, essentially.
Yeah. And this is where the blind patriotism comes from. Like their motivation, these kids' motivation. You see that they're like riled up. You're listening to this guy saying pretty much like, "Oh, Valhalla" kind of deal.
Yeah.
You're the glory of battle. You will be heroes,
Yeah.
and they don't know a single damn thing about what it's like on the other side.
Yeah, they're even marching to the trenches so happily, and then they are so off put of what they see. Like, they're so startled by the explosions, and then when they get to the trench, they're just like so shocked of like, oh, this is gonna be my life for a while.
Yeah, this is where he meets Cat.
Yeah,
How do you pronounce his like full name?
I don't know. I just cat.
Yeah, I remember his name was Cat with a K.
Yeah,
And this is where he meets this guy who's been here for a while. For like you can tell he's been here for a while. Like every time there was a shelling,
yeah,
man was just calm and cool in his corner. I'm like, yep, that's another one. Here's another
Yeah.
one. And he pretty much mentors him through his day, his first day.
yeah. And already his friend, Paul's friend Ludwig, is like, this is not what I expected. I want to go home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first day.
Yeah. And then they're shelled, and you see how horrific it is to be underground and have bombs falling you. And then the next day, they're pulled out. Paul is still alive, and he's asked by his superiors to collect the tags of his comrades. And among the comrades is Ludwig, who dies in the explosion.
Hmm. And it was a heart-wrenching scene. This feels like we're already in the end of the movie.
Yeah,
This whole scene, like how they pretty much screen wrote it,
yeah,
this looks like a conclusion. I was
yeah,
like, this guy went through hell already, and this is his second day.
yeah,
And he's picking up his friend's dog tag. And
yeah,
pretty much mourning his friend. And then Cat comes in and is like, this is the first of many days that you're about to see.
yeah. And then it comes to like 16 or 18 months later, and then we
Oh,
see
that was 2 years.
can't be 2 years, just
Oh, no, it can't be 2 years. 1917, more ended in 1918.
yeah.
I bet.
8 months later, and then you see the Germans counting the tags, and one of them goes to Matthias Erzberger, who's played by Daniel Bruhl.
Daniel Bruhl.
Yeah. And
I didn't know
then
he was going to be in this movie.
I only saw him in the trailer. I was like, all right, if we send this, I'm excited.
I forgot that Daniel Bruhl is like very much like can speak fluent German.
Yeah, yeah. And then he just tells Matthias Erzberger, like, oh my god, we're losing men every day in the tens of thousands. This has to stop. And then that's what he brings to the generals. We don't really see the conversation, but it must be on the lines of like, this has to stop, this madness, please. In the name of
Yeah.
humanity, let me do something.
And I'm guessing he did convince those generals where they're like, Germany's gonna be. This is a line in the movie where, well, as if we keep this up, Germany's gonna be empty.
Yeah. Just draining Germany of future generations, essentially. And then we cut back to Kat and Paul, and they're stealing geese from a farmer. And it is a tense scene. It is also sad because they're like, you know, when you're starving, you do anything. And this scene really shows it. Because they.
This scene and the first scene, like their first time being in the trench. You're in the trench a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
You can tell their living conditions aren't the greatest. Like, this is horrible. Hell on earth.
Yeah.
Kind of ordeal. And when they get their like downtime, they have like this little farm, like FOB,
Yeah.
just far away from the trenches, far away from the front line.
Yeah.
And that's where they steal the goose. It's still not the best.
Hmm.
Like, the goose itself was just heaven on earth for them.
Yeah.
Like the smallest things, the little bits of pleasures.
Yeah. And then they cut to them peeling potatoes, and they're telling about like, what do you want to do after the war? And Trajan wants to be a policeman. But like after that, they're ordered to, or like no, sorry. After that, there's the scene of Matthias Erzberger going to meet the French field general. He's like, all right, I've come here for a ceasefire, and the French field marshal's like, I don't like that. I want a complete and utter surrender. And he's like, I had to talk about this to the other generals. He's like, well, you have 72 hours. And he's like, please don't give me 72 hours of this madness. This, we have to end this right now. It's like, well, if you want this to end right now, you have to sign it right now.
Yeah. And, well, through Daniel Brewer, like, every hour, thousands of younger generations just keep going.
Yeah.
They're dying. So you see the levity of his responsibility to, like, hey, it's either I sign it now, but I'm not gonna look good for our country, or let countless Germans die. And you could see that this is the diplomacy side of the war. While we do get Dr. Robotnik on the other side, who is just war hungry.
Yeah.
And just wants to win.
General Frederick, who's like desperately trying to win this war, gain whatever ground he can, even though throughout this entire war, the fronts never moved. So you're like, what the fuck is the point?
Exactly. Thousands of people have died in only like 100+ yards throughout the entire war.
Yeah.
When it was like, moved. It ain't worth it. No.
Yeah. See, that really like sticks in my mind is when Paul and his company have to find this company of fresh recruits, and they end up in the warehouse where it's like there's a gas attack, and they preemptively took out their masks, and they all died in that one room. We're like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and this is where the Germany's gonna be empty.
Yeah.
Light comes in.
Yeah.
And we do get new like, because you do see that I think only one of Paul's friends joined in within his squad. Like, we had Kat, we had Paul, wasn't the guy going to be a police?
Trayden,
and
Koff, and there's Albert.
Albert. I don't know. Wait, I think I'm fucking up the other guy's name. The one with the black hair. He like cut out like a photo of a lady because he was jealous of like Albert.
No, yeah,
being able to talk to girls.
That is Trayden.
That's not Trayden. Trayden's the stocky bald guy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think that is Koff then.
No, the other guy was named like Franz or Frederick. Franz. The one that like went up with the girls.
Okay. Yeah.
So I do like that he had a new set of like a unit or a group of friends where two of them are veterans while the others are pretty new to the war.
Yeah.
Paul included.
Yeah. I do like that we keep cutting back to Matthias Erzberger of this dilemma of like, I have to convince these people to sign this, otherwise this war will never end. And the German generals are being like, if we do that, they will subject us to unfavorable conditions, and we will be embarrassed. So, and our people are already starving. But he's like, yeah, our people are already starving. Let's just end this war.
Yeah. The more we prolong it, the more they starve.
Yeah, and they're so fearful of the rise of Bolshevism, which is basically communism, among their people, because they're like, we might be overthrown by them. And Matthias gets the news that, I forgot the guy's name, but the head of the army is like, yeah, I approve, go sign it.
Yeah.
But before that, we do get a scene of their attack on the French, and it's over the trenches, and they try to gain ground, but it all turns to shit because the French bring in tanks. And I do like the perspective seeing like, what is that thing? I don't know what it is, and it's a tank, but it's so medieval looking. We're like, alright.
No, they don't know what a tank looked like or what a tank was. This was new warfare.
Yeah.
They didn't have commercials showing us, or for sure they barely got the paper in the front lines. There was no news of like this metal contraption that can spit hot metal and crush soldiers with a whim, and you can't kill it.
Yeah.
And dude, yes, we say this is a war movie, but this is more of a horror movie than a war movie.
Yeah.
Seeing the tank mow down soldiers, sure, we've seen that before. This thing crushing a soldier as he screams. that was a nightmare fuel. And you see, by the way, correct myself, his name was Crop.
Hmm.
Screaming his head off, like, as it, like, goes above them.
Yeah.
Seeing this beast, like, metal beast just come across them.
Yeah. Like, it is horrific seeing, like, their, like, attempt to destroy this thing, but they can't do anything because it is bulletproof to the teeth. And, like, just seeing it just mow down people, like, this is such horrific stuff.
Dude, and, like, I remember I was watching this movie with somebody, and they were like, they're idiots, you can't shoot that thing, why are you shooting with your regular gun? And I was like, dude, they don't know what that thing is.
Yeah.
They didn't know it was a battleship on wheels.
Yeah, like, that's also why, like, going to other weaponry, like, they keep charging out in the open when machine guns are firing, because they're like, this is not really used in warfare, not to this extent, so I don't know what to do. We don't know what to do.
We're just throwing everything we got at it because we don't know what our enemy is.
Yeah. And then, like, as they're trying to destroy this one tank, like, I forgot who sees it. I think it's Albert, who, like, sees, like, other horrific weaponry, like the flamethrower.
Yeah, Crop was the one who... Yeah, his name was Albert Crop.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the first one we see get torched.
Yeah, like, you're like, yeah, it's a very good reason why this thing is banned nowadays in warfare.
And they were able to, like, stop one of the tanks, right? Like, they kind of tossed a grenade in one of the open holes.
Yeah.
And once they start going out, they start...
But it was all in vain because the troops kept advancing anyway and they had to retreat.
Also, going back a bit, as they stormed one of the French trenches, to get a little bit up, we get a scene with them, like, running into their pantry or, like, their kitchen.
Yeah.
And conditions aren't really the best.
Yeah.
But for sure, to them, this was, like...
Heaven.
This was heaven. This nasty-ass kitchen with food. Them just eating with, like, dirt in their hands and shit. And I was like, this place is just nasty. I would never want to be here. And then you see, like, when the ground starts to shake because the tanks were coming, you see the rats, like, the thousands of rats come out of the kitchen.
Yeah. Again, trench life was hell. But yeah, as I said before, like, the main general of the German army, Paul von Hindenburg, tells Matthias Erzberger, like, just sign it. This is too much already. And he convinces the other generals, like, we have to sign this. Even though some are like, no, we have to keep fighting. He's like, no, I do like the line of, like, in the name of humanity, let's just end this. And, like, the French are unwavering because they're like, no, we want an unconditional surrender. Here are the sanctions we're going to place on you. And yeah, it's unfair, but we're fighting you. You're the one who started this, in our opinion. So you get the brunt of this sanctions.
I was like, damn, the French are crazy. Like, they mad.
Yeah, and
yes, Germany did start it, and they're like, no, we're gonna put you to your knees.
Yeah.
And beg for us to stop.
Yeah, and, like, you even see, like, in the small things how hostile they are. Like, when the guy is, like, testing bread, he's like, is this fresh? He's like, no, it's not only a few days old. Like, alright, serve it to our guests. They're like, nah, they don't deserve the best. They deserve this.
They don't deserve common courtesy.
Yeah.
Even though, yes, the character who was there is Daniel Bruhl, who was there for diplomacy. You could tell why they're mad.
Yeah. And then he signs the treaty, the peace agreement, and he's like, all right, this will take effect on the 11th day of the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Which means until that time, all hostilities continue. And he's just like, gee, why?
He's like, you know what? It's a step, but fuck. They're still fighting.
Fortunately, like, years later, Matthias Erzberger was branded a traitor by the Nazis and then later shot.
Well, he didn't seem like the guy to run with the Nazis.
Yeah. So he and his entire party were considered traitors which is very sad.
Yeah, because for sure they were the ones who tried to make sense of
Yeah,
probably. I don't know what the true story is, but probably tried to make sense of World War II and how they were doing things. And they're like, "Hey, we should do this." Traitor.
yeah. And you made us look bad in front of the entire world. How dare you make Germany look like that? But yeah, the General Friedrich doesn't want to give up, and he knows about the treaties, but he plans to do one last attack. But before that, Paul reunites with Kat, and they're trying to look for Traden, or they find Traden, and he is badly injured. They like try to give him food, but in his eyes, his life is basically over. So he ends his life right then and there. Just again,
he lost his legs, and he was like, "I don't want to live in this world as a cripple."
yeah.
We also kind of passed on that scene with. No, yeah, that scene where Paul ran into a French dude.
Oh yeah, and in the battle where he stabs a French soldier and he is filled with remorse and he tries to comfort the French soldier during his dying moments because he stabbed him right in the heart, and it's not a quick death, unfortunately for the guy. He tries to comfort him.
Like you could tell that him like in that scene he was like, "Stop screaming, please stop." Like you could hear him gargling his blood.
Yeah.
And you see Paul just like, "Stop, please."
Yeah.
And shit was so hard to watch. Again, it's a horror movie.
Yeah. Him realizing that this is my humanity is slipping day by day. I'm in this war.
And he does that thing because when his friend Ludwig died, he was trying to clean his face, make sure the dirt was off of his face so he looks proper. He tries to button up his shirt. And when the French guy was dying, he was doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And he like took the, I guess it was like a letter.
Yeah.
I don't know what you call those, so you can correct us in the comments below. But like he took something so he could send it to his wife.
Yeah, like he realizes that he has a wife and child, and he's just horrified of what he's done to this guy. It's a really hard scene to watch. Also, when Traden ends himself with the cutlery, we're like, oh my god, this movie's something else.
And this whole scene was heartless. Besides Kat and Paul, like everything around them was heartless. Like, you could feel the sense of like nobody cares for each other here anymore.
Yeah,
it's just horrible here. One guy was looking onto them like, why do they have food?
Yeah,
and as their friend is dying, he just takes the food and just sit in front of them while they're trying to stop the bleeding of their one friend. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
This is not a fun time.
No, it's not. And then the next day, or like a day later, like Paul and Kat go off to the same farm to find food, but it's Paul's time to steal the eggs or like food for them.
By the way, they got news that they signed a treaty.
Yeah.
That hey, we're surrendering.
Yeah.
We see a complete ceasefire, no more war.
Yeah.
And you would think that if one side of the country surrenders, you would think they're all disappointed. No, they were the happiest soldiers in the world.
Yeah.
For the fact that they can go home.
Yeah. There's 4 years of this nonsense. Why wouldn't you be happy to go home? But yeah, Paul steals the eggs, but this time, because earlier the farmer tried to shoot Kat, and he missed.
Or stealing the goose.
Yeah. And then this time, the son confronts Paul, and he chases him out, but he successfully gets the eggs. But unbeknownst to them, that the son followed them, so when Kat's taking piss, he turns around and he sees the son of the French, the farmer with the gun, and he gets shot.
We didn't explain what happened to the kid.
Yeah.
I am the happiest ending I could say is kid saw what he did, ran as soon as he shot him.
Yeah.
Or cat killed the kid.
We don't know. We don't know.
That's left to us to interpret.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't seem as bad as it is, and then once Cat starts collapsing, you're like, it might be really bad, even though it's like a small hole, still a gunshot.
Yeah, and you could see how this was 100 years ago, by the way.
Yeah.
Today, So their estimation of like what's a bad wound was very primitive. They're like, how big is the hole? It's like a pinky size. But you don't know it already ruptured something really bad.
Yeah.
Like it hit his liver, right?
Yeah, and he tries to carry him, and Paul just gets weaker and weaker until Cat gets weaker and weaker until Paul has to carry him, and he carries him to the hospital, and the doctor's like, "You wasted your time, man. He's already dead." He's like, "What?" "Yeah, it ruptured his liver, it poisoned all his organs, and he's gone."
Mm. And like you see the black blood. I was like, that's attention to detail. That's great.
Yeah.
Not his death. The attention to detail.
Yeah.
Which was really sad because I loved Kaczynski.
Yeah.
Like this was one of my favorite characters in this movie.
Yeah, and the fact that it's so sudden when you think like maybe he will make it, and then the fact that he dies.
Yeah, because well, when we saw it, it was still like an hour in. Like we have an hour left.
Yeah.
Like, what's gonna happen? Because that's when the ceasefire was like announced. Announced, not declared yet.
Yeah.
Oh wait, is that right? Declared?
Or like it wasn't in full effect.
Yeah, it wasn't in full effect.
They knew they had to stop at 11 p.m. Or sorry, a.m. But it wasn't official until that time. And then, yeah, just a sad scene of Paul being like, "But he was just alive. I just talked to him."
Yeah, and even the doctor said, "Damn, so close to it because we're ending the war within a couple of hours."
Yeah. And then in the last futile and useless move, General Friedrich rallies the troops, and you see this one recruit that Paul helps, and then he rallies them, but the soldier's like, "I thought we could go home. Why are you
Right,
making us..."
Yeah, even one rebel's like, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
I want to go home." And then he gets like shot for mutiny.
Yeah.
And yeah, Robotnik here is just like, "No, one last go." I'm like, what the fuck, man? It's gonna end in an hour.
Yeah.
Or like 15 minutes, was it? Like, it's gonna end in 15 minutes.
Yeah. And then you see even the French troops are like, "Well, I guess it's over. Let's celebrate."
Yeah,
What the
they were just doing. That was a really cool looking French guy with a mustache.
Yeah.
He looks familiar. Anyway.
Yeah.
But you see, I love how he has had that sixth sense of like he hears the rumble. He's like, "We're being attacked."
Yeah.
Everybody gets into their stations,
And you see the look on Paul, like all humanity has definitely left. He's like, "There's nothing in this soul and heart anymore."
It was tragic to see too because they had this dialogue of you know how Kaczynski can't read.
Yeah.
He had Paul read his letter from his wife to him, and it was very important for Paul to get like an education after this war.
Yeah.
So it did feel like a father's son kind of moment.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking too because he learned between the years of serving, Kat's son died, and you're like, "Damn."
Yeah, of the fox.
Yeah.
And like as they go on and knowing the fact that he lost Kat, which was the only person who was left.
Yeah.
Also, the other friend, the one with like, what do you call it? Like he had a handkerchief from a girl. He
Yeah.
was also dead, and he had to wrap the handkerchief around his leg.
Going back a bit, that's why it's so disheartening when Paul starts screaming like, "I miss all my comrades." You're like, God, this movie and this war is just so sucks the life out of you.
It does.
Yeah.
Coming to this movie with a faint of heart, though.
You know,
It is so hard to watch. Seeing soldiers die. Like, we watch a lot of war movies. This was too much for me.
Same here, like, just the nihilism. You're like, fuck.
Yes, like, Frank Miller is having a good day with this movie. Like, this is his Adam Sandler movie.
Jesus.
That's probably one of the only few jokes I'm gonna say in this video.
Yeah, but yeah, the attack is futile and useless, but in those few moments, Paul is almost drowned in the mud and he kills the guy with his own, what is it, a rock or helmet?
No, he didn't kill that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And like, dude, seeing Paul just charging 1,000-yard stare, no fear at all, just like, I just miss my comrades.
Yeah.
Goes in, gets a fucking kill streak. Dude was going ham.
Yeah.
He was hitting people with his shovel. He was backing up that one new recruit, the ginger kid.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
the guy he almost sounds in mud, that's the last guy he sees, right?
yeah, like that kid almost dies. He saves him.
Yeah.
Another dude goes for that kid, and he pretty much has a fist fight with that guy.
Yeah.
Nearly drowns him. They both get pushed into like an underground area.
Yeah.
And they looked at each other. Dude, once an action spoke like 1,000 words. They both looked at each other and just like, what the fuck? This shit's gonna end in a minute.
Yeah.
Why continue this? We're somewhere dark, somewhere quiet.
Yeah.
We don't need to fight. Nobody's gonna see us. And then, sad to say, Paul gets stabbed in the back by another French soldier who was in that like underground base.
Yeah, and then the guy who he almost was drowned by is like, he hears the sound of like, all right, we're done, it's over, and he's just like, sorry, man.
It's just like, yeah, there was so much like regret in the guy's face. Is like, this is not your fault.
Yeah.
you didn't want to do this for sure.
Yeah.
And Paul wasn't dead yet, by the way.
Yeah.
Paul was like same situation as the guy he killed earlier on.
Yeah.
The one that he had remorse for. Dude climbed out of the cave and just like accepted like peace for a little bit and then died on the spot.
Yeah. Like, it's like dead ass, like 11 a.m. and the guy's like, sorry, man. It just walks out. And like, if you read war stories from World War One, and particularly about this time, there's so many like, this guy died at like 10:55 or 10:59 right before the clock struck. You're like, fuck.
Like they could have just made it out there, had a peaceful life for a bit of the World War II.
Yeah.
Like, for what they thought was peace for a bit.
Yeah. But yeah, as you mentioned, Paul dies and the ginger kid is collecting the tags. And then he sees Paul. And then we get a really good shot. By the way, the cinematography in this movie is excellent. And we end on
like, if you think 1917, sure, it was impressive that it was like a one-shot kind of thing. This movie didn't need to be a one-shot.
Yeah.
The shit was beautiful on its own. And it was like,
yeah.
I can't say one is better than the other. But to tell a tale of like how horrible war is, this is the movie.
Yeah. And then, yeah, we end on that shot, and it's the end of the movie, and you're like, I feel bad.
That is the poster, by the way. That is the photo on Netflix. It's him just dead on the spot, and like, that's the main character.
Yeah.
They
don't
tell
know
you from the beginning.
But you don't know he's dead. You're just like, he's just covered in mud.
Yeah. And man, this movie made me emotional. It's very tough.
Yeah.
Again, it does drain the life out of you.
Like, this is such a bleak movie. You're like, fuck. But I guess that's the point of like, war.
Yeah.
It's bleak, and it's unnecessary.
Yeah. Nobody wins in war. Sure, you could say, oh, the Allies won. But in all fairness, nobody won.
At what
There was
cost,
war. You lost ever since the war started.
Yeah, and then the credits tell you how ridiculous this war is. It's like you just gain a few feet of territory and then lose some again, and we just go over and over until this war ends. You're like, why?
At a cost of 17 million.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Damn.
But yeah, what would you rate this movie?
As a war movie, you know what's odd? It is hard to watch. But I wouldn't mind watching this again. Like, it has to be like a specific time. The planets have to align. Like you and me have to be in the mood to watch this movie.
Yeah,
like to say like it's a good movie. But I will watch this again. This is not those movies where I was like, I'll never watch this. I'm glad I watched it, but I'll never watch it. No, I would gladly watch this again. it doesn't romanticize anything. It's not like war. You're the hero. They're the bad guys. Nah, there's a straight up message here that this is shit. This is what it looks like, and
Yeah.
countries should never start any of this.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say, we're kind of in one.
Yeah, the
And
situation right now is just crazy
this,
that I guess humanity never learns, which is very unfortunate. I just don't understand,
there are,
honestly.
yeah, throughout this 21st century, there were a lot of examples for that. Of that,
Yeah, yeah. Oh man,
sad to say. Yeah,
like
and
if I could read the future and see what happens, I would definitely try to stop some of the futures if they are bad, or if
yeah,
I can just go back in time and just like, you know what, we shouldn't do this.
yeah. Sorry to the audience if you made it this far. That this is a very sad and bleak review.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But as a cinematic standpoint, this is an amazing movie, written really well, in a perspective that we thought we would never see.
Yeah.
And,
I'm sorry. Did you give your score?
oh, not yet. I'll give this a movie a 10 out of 10. I can't say anything bad about this movie because, sure, it's horrible. It's hard to watch. But that is reality. There's no bullshit plot or this guy having plot armor. Nah, nobody has plot armor here.
Oh,
Wasn't
definitely by the
invented
end.
yet.
Oh man. And you know what this movie has convinced me, like maybe I should check the book out, even though I might end
Yeah,
up more sad than I am
I
right
was,
now.
yeah, I would say I'm not a book reader, but I'm glad to read it.
Yeah, and it's a good reason that this is based on the book itself is considered one of the best anti-war pieces. Like that and another anti-war piece, which is a painting. I don't know if you ever seen that painting of. Like there's a, I forgot the title, but it's about war and there's like people, there's like animals in it, and it's all
Oh,
disturbing.
and there's this dude in the gas mask on the side, and it's just a pool of blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're. I know that painting. I know.
Yeah, I forgot the actor's name, but it's very, very powerful to look at, and even
Mm.
to this day, when you look at it, you're like, Jesus Christ.
That artist was in the war.
Yeah,
This was his depiction of what it looked like.
yeah, but yeah, Jesus. I'll
We'll
also,
put up the name when we find out. By the way.
yeah, I'll give this a 10 out of 10. Like the only gripe I have is, like you, rewatchability, because like Jesus, it's not nothing war is ever good, but like there are other war movies where like I can watch this again. This is cool. This is good.
It's a bit of hearts. It's okay. Like was this Apocalypse Now? It was way lighthearted than this thing.
I actually.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch it again to really compare, but like, yeah, I'll take your word for now. But Jesus, yeah, 10 out of 10. Good story, bleak, even though it's so bleak. Good characters, amazing cinematography, and just the fact that art can move you. And this did move me to where I'm like, I need to watch something light.
Moved me away from my screen and just
Like,
curl into a ball.
you know what? Amazon Prime is streaming Chainsaw Man. I should really check that out.
You should.
After
But
this,
I'm not gonna lie though, that's also very bleak.
I hate this. I'll discontinue my MHA then. But yeah, 10 out of 10, really good movie, and there's already Oscar buzz, which makes all the sense in the world for this movie. Like, people are demanding that this movie win all the Oscars, and I'm like, sure, best picture,
Yes,
why not?
I agree. Best picture, best writing.
Yeah, best
It
director
did a
too.
lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But Jesus, that's been our video for All Quiet on the Western Front.
Mm.
And what do you guys think? Have you read the book? What do you guys think? What's your favorite anti-war piece or book or movie, whatever it is? And yeah, do you think it's do you agree with us that it's appropriate to be talking about this movie, and this movie came out in this year specifically to be like, all right, war is not, it's never good,
It's never the best option, or is never an option, or
should never be considered. But yeah, sorry, if you expect a lighthearted video, you just have to wait a couple more videos.
like on other videos.
If you want to see us do more happy stuff, I swear to God we do, please subscribe, like the video, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We also have a Facebook, Spotify, and TikTok under the same name. Spotify to hear our funnier stuff. Facebook to see us react to trailers, stream video games, and about our lives from time to time. And TikTok to see our best and funniest moments. And you could all use a good laugh, yeah, especially after watching this movie. But
God knows they did. Oh.
Individually, you can find me at Kendall's995 on IG and Twitter. How about you?
Oh, you can find me at JohnGOM_ on Instagram. This is my art account.
And again, we'll be talking about Warfare for this week. So if that's not your cup of tea, I totally understand, and just watch our previous stuff or wait for the next row.
I will say, since I had watched the movies that we have lined up, it does get better. Like it gets less,
Yeah,
depressing.
yeah. It is still a hot, heavy topic, but those are like considerably more. I can watch this twice in a day. This is like I can watch this twice within 2 months or a year.
Within 100 years. No, I'm kidding. It's a great movie.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this video. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.